A wonderful Erev Rosh Hashanah, everyone. This Shabbos is Rosh Hashanah Chassidus, and Parshas Vayishlach together. So anyway, what does Parshas Vayishlach say? Yaakov is sending a message to Esav. What is the message he's sending to Esav? He's sending a message to Esav, I'm ready for Mashiach, are you? Right? That's how Chassidus explains. He wants to know if he says, I'm ready, I was with Lava and I already did my whole job. Ahili Sheva Chamoir, I'm ready to have Mashiach ben David, Mashiach ben Yosef. He says, asks Esav, he sends the Malachim, he needs the Malachim. Why is he sending Malachim? He could send human beings, but he needs Malachim to shmek, to see where Esav is holding. So Malachim come back, they say, you're holding ready by Moisa Mashiach, but Esav is still holding with all his Mashigasim. You understand? He didn't change much. So Yaakov realizes that there's still a long road ahead of him. So the Rebbe asks a question. The Rebbe says that, not a question, but what's the lesson we learn from the thing? The lesson we learn from this thing is a number of things. First of all, whatever's going on in the world doesn't make a difference to us. We have to prepare for Mashiach. The world, we think or we don't think that the world is joining us in our march. It makes no difference. You'd have tons of signs, right? Jewish people never cared about what other people thought, or at least they weren't successful when they thought about what the whole world was saying. So Yid has to do his avodah to bring Mashiach. Second of all, the Rebbe says now, we're already holding by the end of Parshas Vayishlach, we're already holding by the time that Esav is ready to get his final birur, his final tikkun. And therefore, we should chaparayin. We should, Yaakov asks Esav, are you ready? The Malachim say he's not ready, but the Rebbe says now we're ready. So let's put our efforts to it. Connection with this Kislev is obvious because the Chassidus gives us the koyach to prepare the world for Mashiach and to prepare ourselves for Mashiach. Right? We have by Yaakov Avinu. Yaakov Avinu fights. He goes into a fight with the angel of Esav. Why is he fighting with him? Because he's left alone, right? The Yaakov is left alone and he gets into a fight. So one lesson is you should never leave a Jew alone, right? What happens when Yaakov had 11 children? 12 children, 11, yeah. They left their father alone one time and he got into a fight with an angel. So you don't leave a Jew alone by himself. Try to take care of him. But anyway, Yaakov is fighting alone. So why did Yaakov go? Where was his whole family? Why was he left alone? So there's two explanations. One explanation is that in simple pshat, he left behind a few earthenware jugs. I mean, I would assume that theoretically what earthenware jugs were in those days is the equivalent of what plastic containers is in our life today. A few plastic containers, mamish kleinigkeiten. And Yaakov goes back, he has his whole, he's wealthy, he's a wealthy guy, he has children, and we learned in last week's parsha, he's very rich. And what is he worried about? A few plastic containers. He leaves in the middle of the night all alone by himself. He goes back to get a few plastic containers. So, simply, or the simple Chassidus pshat is that it says that by tzaddikim, every item that they own is precious. Because tzaddikim don't just splurge money, spend money. By tzaddikim, everything that they do is because there's the avodah that they're doing. Everything that they own, they understand is because the Eibusher gave it in their possession because they're meant to use it out for Kedusha. So it could be something small, they don't just throw it out. It's not just, a trivial thing. Every small item, or his damnut, any small, possibility that we're able to do something is meaningful. There's nothing in Yiddishkeit that's too meaningless to deal with. Even small pachim ketanim, the Rebbe borrowed this term many, many times, explaining that avoid of us in these generations are small kleinigkeiten. The person could say, I'm not going to daven for 5 hours. Maybe for 5 minutes I'll think Pirush Hamilos. I'll think with the words of davening. These are small things. So we say, no, nothing in Judaism is small, is insignificant. Every small thing is important. That's one thing. But it says, the Rebbe speaks in the Sikha, it says that Yaakov was left alone, that this is the Medrash says, this is like it says, that in the future it says Hashem's name will be exalted alone. It'll be the revelation of Eined Mulvadei. Hashem will be alone, Yaakov was alone. Yaakov was on the revelation of Eined Mulvadei. So it seems a little bit funny. From one hand Yaakov was dealing, we say, with Pachim Ktanim, with small little, leftovers, remains, insignificant articles that needed to be elevated to Kedusha. On the other hand, we're saying that he's alone because he's on the level of Einid Movadi, there's nothing else besides the Eibishter. The same way the Eibishter was alone, Yaakov is alone. What's the connection? And the point that the Rebbe says is that in order to elevate the small little leftovers, what remains after all the previous generations, the small things which, they're small, but they also mean they're small, means that there's not a lot of holiness involved in it. You could only do it with the power of Chassidus. And a person knows that Einid Muvadi, if a person permeates his head, now the Rebbe once said, there was a time that the Rebbe used to say very short, I don't know what you want to call it, they weren't called my modern, very short verters. I think there's a word he once said, I don't know if I'm quoting it exactly right, but at least one version of the word is that a Daled, if you look in the Sefer Torah, it says, Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. The Daled of the Echad is very big. Look, the Ayin of Shema is very big, and the Daled of Echad is very big. Chassidus speaks a lot about it, but he said the Daled of Echad is very big. He said in simple jargon, in simple Yiddish, he said the Daled of Echad resembles an axe, right? The big Daled is like an axe, because a person, with our Farain Haken and Kop, a person has to, I don't know how you translate it in English, a person has to smash into his head. It's not a very good translation. You have to bang into your head the concept that Echad, that Einid Movadi. So in order to elevate the things in the world that seem to be the most distant from Kedusha, you could only do it with the Einid Movadi, with the realization that, the Eibishter exists, and the way that is understood according to Chassidus. But the Rebbe explains, this is the connection between the two things. This is the connection also in the last generations, the last moments, as we prepare for Mashiach. So it's the Chassidus, particularly the teachings of Chassidus, that prepare us for Mashiach, speak about Mashiach, that give us the ability to break through whatever last remaining remnants of COVID that are hanging in the world, and right, and bring Mashiach. So that's one thing. And that's the beginning. Yaakov, what happens later? What happens later is, like I mentioned before, that Yaakov meets Esav, and Yaakov realizes there's still a road ahead. And Esav tells Yaakov, come, let us go. And Chassidus explains this to mean, let's go to the revelation of Mashiach, Temporarily, Esav had a change of heart. Yaakov says no. He says, my kids are young, the animals are young. If I go too fast, one day they'll all die out. So Chassidus explains, Yaakov was telling Esav, the Rebbe was once a Rabbi, and this kiss of Tavshin Tazayin, I think. The Rebbe was crying very strongly. The Rebbe says that Rabbi were ready for Mashiach a long time ago. The only thing is that for us Chassidim, we were not ready to jump. We need to take our time. We need to do thing by thing by thing. We like taking the local, not the express, at least when it comes to Judaism, So therefore, Yaakov says, and the Avodas HaBirurim, the way things work, you can't jump the gun. If you jump the gun, you lose it all. So he says, my children, the animals, the different birurim that have to be done, they're not yet on the level. I can't rush. He says, I'll go slowly, until I'll come, Aladeni Seira. The one day I'll come to Esav and Seir, which is the day, as Rashi explains, when Mashiach will come, then. But anyway, the point is that throughout the generations, things are going slowly, But now, as we come closer to Mashiach, we need to be a little bit more quicker, The Rabbi once said that I forget exactly how it goes, but the Rebbe had Tzivus Hashem, right? Now it's 40 years from Tzivus Hashem. I think the Rebbe once said, the Rebbe came out with Tzivus Hashem in 1981. I think the Rebbe said that already in 1957 he was thinking of doing it, but the Chassidim weren't ready yet. So he waited until 1981. You understand? The Rebbe was looked much further ahead than we do, at least. So there's things need to take their time, but the point is that we should try to do things in a way of zrizus, of not taking it, slowly, and but anyway, getting back to this Kislev, Chassidus gives us life. There's one point I'll mention that I was thinking about. I was reading a Farbrengen from Melech Tzibol Vashal, and he was saying a very, very simple, very powerful point. He was saying, when you think about Avodas Hashem, right?
You're reading it? What do you mean?
I was reading a Farbrengen. It was the transcript of a Farbrengen that he once gave. So he said, when you think about Avodas Hashem, you have in Kuntas Avodah Perek Beis, the Rebbe speaks about the person should be moved, the person should be able to be in control of his eyes, his ears, to only see and hear things that the Eibishter wants him to. So he says, how do we understand it superficially? Or maybe I'll take the concept a little bit, expound it a little bit. And as a religious Jew, what do? We live our life, but there's some red lines that we have that we don't cross. If we're ever, the guy will offer you a meal at McDonald's, you're gonna reject it. Now, it's not as if that you're living your life necessarily thinking about the Eibishter. It's, you're rolling your dices, you're going through life, but you have your red lines. If there's a red flag, this is something this is my red line, I'm not gonna cross. Okay. That's not serving the Eibishter. That means that's very good. It's a very high level. Don't get me wrong. That means that you're principled, but that's not really what it means to be alive in Avodas Hashem. Person be alive. When he says like over here, says if a person walking down the street and he sees something negative, he turns away his eyes. That's not what we're talking about. The ultimate level of Avodas Hashem. A person is in control of his sight, or if he hears someone is talking negatively about someone, he turns away. That's very good, but it's not the Chiddush of Chassidus. The Chiddush of Chassidus is that he's not a balabas over himself, and he only looks l'chatchila what the Eibishter wants. It's not that he looks, and if he happens to see something which is negative, there's a red line that happens to be crossed, so then he backs off. No, l'chatchila, he only looks in the first place where the Eibishter looks, so automatically he's not going to look where he's not supposed to look. He only listens to things the Eibishter wants him to listen to it. So what does it mean? The point is that it's not with many people as they go on in life, it reaches a point that it's just, they continue going, just certain things that red lines they establish for themselves that they won't cross. But that's not very sufficient. Definitely you're not growing much in Avodas Hashem, but you're not really alive in serving the Eibishter. A person that's alive, he's living, he's growing, he's living, whatever it is, even if he's spending only a little bit amount of time of the day davening and learning or whatever it is, but this is what is giving him a chayas. It's not just about not crossing a red line. So before Chassidus, he had many, he had big tzaddikim, but for many people, for the standard simple folk, for many of them, the point was, don't do this, because whatever it is. But the point is, keep your red lines in place. Don't cross the red line. Chassidus comes to make a person alive. It shouldn't be about not crossing a red line. It should be about something that we're proactive about, or something we're involved in Avodas Hashem. And I was just thinking about it. Just hit me today. It was, in our life, it's sometimes we could be a perfectly religious Jew, but it's all about sticking, not going against our principles. There's nothing specifically great about what we're actually doing. It's just we're not going to do kach v'kach. Chassidus doesn't want. It's not the Chiddush of Chassidus. Chassidus is that whatever you're doing should be permeated with life, with meaning, and so on and so forth. So the main thing is that we should have the Gula Mitzvah Shlema. We should have a year. We should all be written and sealed in the year of learning Chassidus and the ways of Chassidus. And we should have the ultimate revelation, the ultimate redemption of the world and us, the Eibishter as well, the coming of Mashiach, take it from Mamish.